Hello, everyone. Let us go on to the next session, which is on mix map. So let's understand what exactly do we mean by mix map? What are the considerations to be kept in mind while creating a mix map? And how exactly is it created? So let us begin. A mix map is a visual representation of a style of education in which the course components are shown through a Venn diagram, as shown here, which enables a flexible participation policy for students, whereby students may choose to attend face-to-face class sessions or online. Online can either be synchronous or asynchronous. Synchronous learning occurs when individuals participate in an online learning course at the same time but in different locations. It allows the learners to interact with the instructor and other participants. This is done through a software that creates a virtual classroom, whereas asynchronous is one where students participate in an online learning course at different times. A compliant or adaptable course design refers to such an instructional approach that provides the opportunity to attend a course in either mode of learning so that the needs of the students can be met. But one has to be careful that it must lead to equivalent learning outcomes. So, teaching and learning activities should ideally present content effectively and professionally, engage learners with generative learning activities, and use authentic assessment to evaluate student learning. Such an adaptable or compliant course design is beneficial to students, to faculty, and to institutions. Students are benefited because there is an increased access to courses, because it may happen sometimes that they are unable to attend the class due to different time zones or due to different conflicting schedules or some personal reasons for their inability to join. So, such a course enables them for multiple modes of participation. It is beneficial to faculty as they are able to serve more students without giving up classroom instruction with the same resources in terms of time and instructional material. They also get the opportunity to conduct their own pedagogical research and innovative approaches. It is beneficial to institutions as well, as it results in increased overall course enrollment, which is beyond the seat capacity of a physical classroom, and hence offering additional schedule and location flexibility to the students. But at the same time, there are challenges too. It's a challenge to the faculty because such a course that supports multiple modes of course delivery, as it becomes challenging to manage the technical complexity of multimodal instruction. Administrative work relating to participation of the students in varied formats, tracking attendance, assessment activities, interaction, feedback may require additional time and effort. It is a challenge to students in terms of the cost involved. They need to have time management skills as they need to decide which mode of participation to choose. If they choose online mode, they need to make arrangements for hardware, software, network, their own ability to engage in online learning platforms, and obviously willingness to learn. The greatest challenge for the students is to manage their own self for online participation. It is a challenge to the administrators as it requires additional financial resources for additional faculty development, provide technology equipped classrooms, and synchronous learning platform to support online students as well. Not only that, system also needs to accommodate flexible student scheduling. So it is a challenge one has to rethink. Apart from intermodal learning environment, it also requires a lot of planning and organization. Faculty may be more experienced in classroom environment, but they need to design, develop, and facilitate online mode of instruction, for which a lot of efforts are required. To deliver such a flexibility in providing a course, the instructors need to plan for its organization and communication. They need to be very clear about the role of instructor. They need to be very clear about the learning activities to be included and how they will assess and provide feedback to the learners. The instructor needs to plan beforehand in order to change the number, size, and components of student groups, as you never know the number of students that actually show up in the classroom. So the whole planning will go haywire. In all the learning modes, effective instructional approaches must be implemented, including text, video, audio, and all these can be delivered through learning management system. One can also include the content which is generated by the students themselves. For online asynchronous, the entire instructional content can be streamed through class recordings and recorded messages using either the installed technology or with the support of audiovisual specialists. Regardless of the participation mode, the instructor needs to organize the entire course into units and subunits, create a document for each week that summarizes everything you will need for the week, including the live sessions, recorded lectures, assignments, and so on. It is suggested that one should not rely on social media for communication purposes. One must rely on the learning management system. One needs to include PowerPoint templates, mind mapping tools, collaboration tools, which are very essential for active online learning. One must not forget to welcome the students in the classroom, acknowledge the online students as you start with the class. One must schedule time to check in with online students, repeat questions asked by synchronous students so online students can hear, allow online students to write questions in the chat or in forum, record lecture for asynchronous students to watch, and determine what content should be delivered to students synchronously and what learning can be supported asynchronously. One must have a combination of both the methods for effective teaching, as the key is to play to the strengths of each approach. But in case there are any connectivity issues or technical issues, there has to be a backup plan, which can include having multiple options to connect to a session. For example, another computer, mobile device, tablet, or using alternative collaboration tools like Google Drive to have students work asynchronously. One may ask a number of questions to oneself to plan for the session. Some of these questions may be: what should be done before my first class? How do I share material with my students? What is the best way to set up the classroom? How do I ensure that my students feel engaged in the class? How do I encourage collaboration in the class? How do I handle exams? How do I manage student participation? What about hands-on experiences? How do I support fully online students? To be very effective, one needs to adopt this shift of being an instructor to being a community manager, trying to say That sage on stage doesn't work in online environment. There has been a shift in favor of becoming a guide on the side. So you need to help the students to create a sense of community and engagement. So one can become more of a community manager by providing lectures which are relatively shorter in nature, by breaking up the class time with interactive learning activities, or assigning group work in breakout rooms, by quizzing students or having a poll and have a students' feedback. Incorporate group work, incorporate short audio clips or videos, create online games, have students create their own games, provide the option of open assessment where students choose from a range of possible assignments, get students to create presentations, consider creating spaces out of the class, through that is through a discussion board or social media page where students can talk about common interests, share links to webinars and virtual events so that they are reminded they're still the part of larger campus culture. Whether it is face to face or online, providing a lecture for 50 to 60 minutes is not the ideal way because students will lose interest. The precious class time can be used most effectively by flipping the classroom so that effective discussion on a particular topic can take place. Problem solving, discussing case studies, or discussing other course concepts in depth becomes possible. Not only synchronous, but asynchronous lectures also must be very engaging. Accessing material, readings, assignments, quizzes in a single place may provide students to explore topics in depth at their own pace. It must be supported by the discussion forums and one-to-one communications through email. It will all lead to self-directed learning. Asynchronous learning also provides an opportunity for the instructors to promote peer collaboration. Specific assignments that require students to work with each other are powerful ways to keep engagement high outside the confines of a class schedule. In thinking through how best to incorporate asynchronous methods into your curriculum, must take into account one must make efforts and review the course syllabus. One needs to thoughtfully consider both synchronous and asynchronous elements of the courses. These elements be integrated to enhance student engagement. So it is important to motivate students as active learning and engagement is not an isolated activity. In order to motivate students, one can incorporate active learning practices before the class, during the class, after the class, which is outside the virtual classroom. It can be a short quiz before the class. There can be discussion thread during the class. There can be interactive readings after the class. For motivating students outside the virtual classroom, one can display the contents, house the course material in some central repository from where students can easily locate, review, and submit items. So far as student assessment is concerned, these should be designed in such a manner that no individual or group is disadvantaged for any reason. One needs to assess the student learning and the progress of learning, which can be same in all modes of transaction. It is in the form of formative assessment. Formative assessment is possible in synchronous as well as asynchronous environment through quiz, through having a quick poll, having a question answer session, having the students to write a 1 minute essay, and so many other such activities. For asynchronous online environment, instructors can make use of open book exams, group projects, culminate summative assessments to test student mastery of the content. Student choice is another important element which can motivate students while giving them room to exercise creative problem solving. Feedback also needs to be very flexible. It is important that students should achieve the same learning outcome, should have equal opportunity to ask questions, and should be able to receive feedback. Feedback has to be timely and meaningful for both online and face-to-face students. Feedback is relevant because it encourages perseverance. It focuses on development of efficacy and self-awareness, encourages the use of specific support and strategies in the face of challenges. Feedback has to be such that emphasizes effort, improvement, and achieve a standard rather than relative performance. It has to be frequent, timely, and specific. It has to be substantive and informative rather than comparative or competitive. While providing feedback, positive strategies must be suggested for future success. Here is a sample mix map. It is shown by a Venn diagram, face-to-face, online, and asynchronous environment. In face-to-face class environment, after providing key concepts of the topic, one can relate the same into real-world examples through various case studies. Online, same concepts can be taken to online, and there can be assignment provided through discussion forum. For example, here the topic taken is comparative study of India and China. One can have video followed by some assignment or discussion. While discussing, one must provide them the technology introduction. Case study can be discussed during the virtual meeting. Whatever is the outcome, whether it is face-to-face or online, can be exchanged in both modes of environment. An entire thing is just recorded and can be given to the students who could not make up for the live sessions. One can have a similar mix map for whatever topic you may teach. Thank you.